I'm just setting this up, ladies and gentlemen, to see the thoughts of people see what they think. Just getting the word out a little bit. You can share my stream if you like. Um, by all means, please do. I'm not sure. I'm just a noob at this, but I am a Canadian. And I find this very, 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 very important to all of us, not just one. And in order to get this right, it has to be right for all Canadians, right? And to talk about the unconstitutional acts against us Canadians and the pain and suffering that we've all caused here, or has been caused upon us here, ladies and gentlemen, is what they call a breach of our Canadian Charter of Rights. Now, it also comes to my attention that there is a lot more than just one person involved here. It has to do with all Canadians, not just one. Even though all of us have been subject, I would say, to discrimination. I would say that we've all been subject to miscommunication and disinformation from the Trudeau Liberal government that wants us to believe that we are all guilty of an offense when the courts have just ruled that the Charter of Rights and Freedoms covers a lot of area, should be revoked on us Canadians, I would say. I don't think it should be, and it will not be, because we have rights. I'm also a disabled person, and I walk with a cane because my legs will give out, my back will give out. But there's a lot of people out there on a disability who cannot stand up for themselves or don't have the money because we're limited on living expenses. Now, even though we may not have been in Ottawa or out at Coots, for uncircumstances like money issues, getting there, we were still watching. And mentally and physically of what transpired from the cause of the federal government, Justin Trudeau, Christine Freeland, the whole Liberal caucus and the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, has violated our human rights. Now, the lawyers on this, I've contacted a lawyer in regards to this who has not got back to me yet. But the lawyers should do this, and I know they can do this, on a 30% if they want to do this to the Canadian public. File a nationwide lawsuit. These are my thoughts. I would like to have your thoughts in the chat. Nationwide lawsuit for all Canadians. And I mean all Canadians, even disability people, because our rights have been violated here considerably. And it goes beyond the unconstitutional rights of Canadians. Now, people out there have their different point of views of what they think should happen. And I think that, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional in a lot of it, but the Constitution protects every Canadian out there. And because we already knew that Christine Freeland was the one that imposed the seizures of bank accounts, the rights of Canadians of violating them, the federal government of the Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, who backed it, who violated our rights beyond recognition, as it was pointed out by the judge, who I take my hat off to, and the lawyers that, and not just the lawyers, but the institutions that backed us on this to bring this truth out. Now, I'm nobody special, and I'm not looking for a pat in the back. But what I want to get here is every lawyer across Canada should be either doing this pro bono for the Canadian people or taking a 30% for their time, which will just show that they're in it for themselves and not for Canadians. But a Canadian-wide lawsuit, nationwide, be filed immediately. Now, I'm from northeastern Ontario, Canada, and these have affected us as well. We never voted for Trudeau to do this or the Liberal government. We've seen over the last few years of the deception and laws being broke, not only by the federal and provincial government, but the municipalities, as well as the police service, who we thought we could rely on, which obviously we can't, because you ask them and they say, well, this is beyond our pay grade. So where are the lawyers out there, I want to ask? to stand up for Canadians. If anybody's got any idea, please post it. So people like myself, with a little bit of money I have, can donate to the cost of this lawsuit. And I want to put it towards everybody of Canada, not just one person. And I do believe a minimum, plus court costs, of $3 million per person throughout Canada is not asking for much. It's going to cure a lot of stuff out there, like the homelessness. It'll give hope to people that can afford a home. With the restrictions of the landlords trying to take the money from the people, the Canadian people, the gas companies, the municipalities that want to up our taxes by 34.5% in one whack, which is unconstitutional, which will be looked after soon enough. Without Hydro One or any of your electricity outlets putting up our rates. And also it'll feed people across Canada. It'll create housing for people that don't want to build or own their own home. I don't know anybody out there that wouldn't mind owning their own home. With the restrictions on personal housing for people with handicaps, of not being able to take their money like they do, blocking fridges, I've seen it, so people can't eat. I've seen a lot, ladies and gentlemen. I lived on the streets. And in this cold weather that we're having, that across Canada, nationwide, is unconstitutional to allow people to live like that. A lot of laws have been broken here. The UN Disability Act of Canada states that we're supposed to be barrier-free. And if any of that's broke, that's jail time right off. But the RCMP, the OPP, and that doesn't want to enforce this on people like our municipalities, our federal or provincial governments. There's infrastructures across Canada. Canada is definitely broken. But we got a light now at the end of our tunnel with this fantastic judge that ruled against the federal and provincial governments for wrongdoing to all Canadians. I do hope that this word gets out and gets shared to people, and that there is a bunch of lawyers out there that have a heart that'll do the right thing, even if they charge us 30%. We all get that back on top of the $3 million that we're asking for each. That's minimum. This could run into trillions of dollars. Let's not forget about Justin Trudeau's promise to fix up the infrastructures across Canada. They all want to talk about the bigger cities, like Ottawa and Toronto and Scarborough and that. What about northern? What about people in the north, across Canada, that is suffering? The government figures that we don't have a pot to pee in or the window to throw it out. But we got something that they ain't got, obviously. It's called each other. And I hope you find my video that I'm doing here right now, and that I'm welcoming and putting forth to you people as a wake-up call on what's there to come. So I put this question, is there a lawyer out there that's willing to take a Canada-wide lawsuit against the federal and provincial governments, municipalities, for wrongdoings, not only to the disability? Our Charter of Rights and freedoms have been also violated in this. Even though we watched it on TV or our computers or whatever, the impact that it's caused is just phenomenal against us all. It isn't just one. Mental stress and anguish, wrongful doing, Charter of Rights and Freedom, human rights, Ontario Disability and Duties to Accommodate, being barrier-free, subsection 1 of subsection 2 of the Ontario Disability Act, nothing to be seized, garnished, or executed under any laws, under any act, which the Trudeau federal, Liberal, and NDP government has violated, as well as the provincial, Doug Ford, has violated. The municipalities that we live in has violated these acts. It's time to stand up for ourselves. And that is what we're going to do. But we're not going to stand up by ourselves. We're going to stand up together as one. We are family. We are Canadians. I'm Dan Cairns from Northern Ontario, Canada. And I say, is there a lawyer out there? Is there any type of lawyers out there that's willing to take on this case? People can send their donations right to you for your fees if you want it. But that isn't being a Canadian. But I mean, if you want to be paid out of this, a 30% commission for this is great. I don't think people would mind. But I think a lawyer out there, or the lawyers out there, should do it a little bit pro bono here, right? Give the Canadian people a break after the harsh laws has been put against us, I would say. Christine Freeland, Justin Trudeau, the Liberal government / NDP has broken the laws throughout Canada, federally and provincially, and Doug Ford as well. In videos, it stated that Doug Ford said, yes, clear the border or clear the bridges. We got to do something. But there's videos out there that state that they were aware of what they were doing was breaking the Charter of Rights and Freedoms laws, federally and provincially. I'll leave you with these thoughts. All of you. Am I right? Am I wrong? The Constitution is there for our protection. These laws are there for our protection. But these have been breached by people that we are supposed to trust, that we can't trust no more. Justice will be served. And hopefully there's RCMP out there and OPP that'll step up to the plate and give us justice, give us hope. These lawsuits still got to go. I call for a nationwide of Canada a lawsuit against the federal and provincial government. Is there lawyers out there that's going to take the case? Probably not without being paid, because they want to be paid for their time, so they take a 30% for every Canadian, not for anybody in the Trudeau and NDP government coalition, not for them, for all the rest of the Canadians out there. Times it by 41 million people live in Canada. Times that by 3 minimum, plus court costs. Thank you very much. I'm Dan Cairns from Northern Ontario, Canada, giving you my thoughts on this. God bless you all.